There's a time and a place to talk about people and players in the NHL. But in this commentary, we're going over a guy in the Montreal Canadiens system that is absolutely one of the best. And he's so much smarter than I, or maybe any of all of y'all, would have expected that I think his resume bears repeating in a video commentary like this. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking about Jeff Gorton, the Executive Vice President of the Montreal Canadiens, and a post that was made on the Habs subreddit yesterday that I thought was so amazing we just had to go over it. It's actually the first result. If you go over here to Google, Soup from Now On posted yesterday on our Habs that Jeff Gorton was the general manager of the Boston Bruins for 4 months in 2006. In that time span, he drafted Phil Kessel, Milan Lucic, traded up to draft Brad Marchand, traded Andrew Raycroft for Tuuka Rask, and signed free agents Marc Savard and Zdeno Chara. And, that is absolutely ridiculous. This resume, in 4 months worth of work for one guy, only to be removed from his GM position and demoted to assistant GM, especially when acknowledging the impact of these people, it is an incredible body of work. And I just wanted to go out there and highlight this fact in a video here. Before we continue, though, I wanted to just correct some of the information that was talked about. Oh, he was fired to make room for somebody else. If we go over to the Google search here, there is an AI overview, but essentially this is the timeline as to how things went. In March 2006, Bruins GM Mike O'Connell was fired, and Jeff Gorton was named the interim GM. In June 2006, Gorton, as the interim GM, made significant draft and trade moves, including Chara, Savard, and acquiring Tuuka Rask. In July 2006, Peter Chiarelli was hired as the permanent GM, and Jeff Gorton returned to his assistant GM role. And then in June of 2007, the Bruins fired Jeff Gorton, ending his long tenure with the team. After the Bruins, Gorton was quickly hired by the New York Rangers, eventually becoming their GM before being fired in 2021, and later joining the Montreal Canadiens in a senior hockey operations role. Now, the funny part is, I think a lot of Rangers fans, they're big fans of Jeff Gorton, and they were really on board with what it was he was building with the New York Rangers. So to see him get the boot, to see the Rangers go through the little reset that they tried to do, and to see Montreal pick up Jeff Gorton afterwards, it was seen as a pretty good move for the Habs. But just acknowledging his body of work from when he was the Boston GM for just 4 months, this is absolutely the craziest run that I think any NHL GM may have ever gone down. Yeah, okay, he drafted Phil Kessel. Is that a crazy move? Probably not. I mean, he was a top pick, 5th overall. Obviously, Kessel was supposed to be going near the top of that draft. I mean, he had 51 points in 39 games in Minnesota NCAA that season and was way over a point per game at the World Juniors. Phil Kessel getting taken 5th overall, that's not like a super amazing move, but it's like, okay, it's expected. You have a top 5 pick, you're going to use it to take a top 5 guy. Any one of these guys would have been a tad worse. Frolik, James Shepard, Peter Mueller, Kyle Okposo would have been all right, but Phil Kessel, I'd say, best choice available at that spot. Maybe Claude Giroux would have been better, but that would have been a huge swing at that spot in the draft. But other names. Drafting Brad Marchand. 2006 71st overall pick, that was the inevitable captain of the Boston Bruins, and a player who just continually got better and inevitably became a 100-point player in the National Hockey League. Even this year, Brad Marchand is on pace for 88 points, which would be his second best point per game season. Second best? No, actually, it would be his 4th best, I think. He did have some really amazing years with limited games played, but still, if he gets 88 total points, that would be his second most productive season in the NHL, period. So Brad Marchand. Imagine taking this guy in the 3rd round. Imagine convincing the Toronto Maple Leafs to trade you Tuuka Rask and giving them Andrew Raycroft. I've seen Steve Dangle whine and rave about that trade so many times over the years because it was a bad move for Toronto. Tuuka Rask became a Vezina caliber guy, a Stanley Cup champion, a Jennings winner, a first All-Star. He had a .930 save percentage in 2013-14 and 58 games played. We never see numbers like that ever in the National Hockey League anymore. Tuuka Rask was able to do that and then post up a .928 in the 2014 playoffs. He had a .940 in the 2013 run, where the Bruins went to the finals and lost to Chicago. .934 in 2019 as they went to the finals again. Tuuka Rask was an absolute brick wall. They just could not beat Jordan Binnington and the Blues. Jeff Gorton was the guy who brought that in. And then you have Zdeno Chara, signed as a free agent by Boston back in 2006. He became the captain right away and ended up having a historical run with the team that spanned, 16 years? He just had his jersey number retired the other day. Obviously, there's a lot of buzz around Zdeno Chara at this moment in time. But obviously, he was a very influential part of the Boston Bruins story. And we can't even forget about Marc Savard, too. I didn't even realize that Marc Savard was that good. I'd always heard the name. I came into hockey a little bit later. I'm born in the year 2000, so I wasn't really a fan until the Canucks were good in 2010, 2011. But Marc Savard was always a name that I kind of heard buzzing around, and I searched up here, wait a minute, the guy got 96 points as a Boston Bruin in his first season with the Bees, was also a part of the squad during their 2011 Stanley Cup run, but he wasn't able to play and finish out the rest of his career. Unfortunate 0 games played in the final 6 seasons of his contract. But Marc Savard was a crazy good center. Small, but very productive, and just a guy that you could rely upon to score consistent points year in and year out for the Boston Bruins and Atlanta Thrashers. He totally exploded. And Jeff Gorton was the guy who brought him, and him all to the Boston Bruins around the same time, including Phil Kessel. I mean, they got rid of this guy as the interim GM for Peter Chiarelli, which is so funny to think about nowadays because, hey, what's Peter Chiarelli up to? I mean, former GM of the Edmonton Oilers. Peter Chiarelli, I think, has one of the worst reputations in NHL modern-day history in terms of GMs and guys that managed teams. Talk about not being able to build a team around Connor McDavid. Peter Chiarelli's going to go out there with the greats like Jim Benning and Mike Milbury. Kevin Adams, you could even say, out of Buffalo. But with that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on Jeff Gorton and the incredible resume that he had back as the short-termed GM of the Boston Bruins? He's in Montreal now. A lot of Habs fans like what him and Hughes are cooking up. They're pretty smart dudes. They're building their team the right way. But once upon a time back in Boston, Jeff Gorton was going out there and pulling miracles out of these drafts and free agency classes. Classes? Nah, class. One draft class. Everything happened in the span of 4 months. Lucic was here too. We didn't even talk about him. The fact that Marchand, Chara, and Milan Lucic were all extraordinarily important parts of the Bruins winning the Cup in 2011, and these guys were all acquired 5 years ago at the same time, is nuts. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.